I will be the first to admit that I try to run from the things that are happening, my problems that I'm having, the emotions that I'm feeling, every single thing in between. And every single time, sometimes it works. Sometimes I do feel better after distracting myself, whether it's from the gym, the pool, reading, like sometimes that stuff helps. And on the flip side, some of the times I just feel like I'm empty, that nothing helped, that I feel more tired than I was before. And that's just how life is. That's just how it be. That sometimes all the things that you're trying to avoid, that you're running from, are within. They're not external. And when you realize that, and when you accept your situation, you don't tolerate it, but you accept it, that is when you find the things you can control, the things that you can take responsibility for. Because sometimes you're just gonna have to accept your situation and it just be like that, and you move on. But then other times, you can change your situation, you can make your world a different place, which makes the world a different place. But sometimes you can't do it all. Sometimes you can't change your surrounding, your environment, the things that you do, the things that you have to deal with, the people that you're around. Sometimes that's just inevitable. But the things that you can control are how you process your emotions, how you deal with everything like that. And it's hard. And it's hard not to try to run away from it. It's hard not to try to look at it in the face and say, I'm not accepting you. You're the problem and not me. That's the hardest thing not to say. Because sometimes because sometimes we are a part of the problem. Sometimes our mind is causing us to feel things that we don't want to necessarily feel or deal with or experience. But we have to keep pushing through. We have to keep telling ourselves that what our thoughts and our feelings are not who we are, that we can't try to run away from them, but rather meet them where they are and say hello and be okay with it and accept it. Because when we do not have acceptance, we are trying to consistently push against the grain, against the thing that's happening right now. But in the end, what is that doing to us? How is that mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually affecting us? Because it does. Do not get me wrong. I am one of the most stubborn people that will push against something, that will say no, that will not, I say this, I will not honestly accept certain things until it's like hitting me in the head and saying, Emma, it's legit. Stop draining yourself. Stop trying to beat around the bush and try to get around it and try to make excuses and be like, nope, this isn't happening. I can fix it. Because I will be the first one to admit that I tried to be stubborn and not accept it and go back to the way that I thought it should be or think it should be. But the thing is that you have to accept it, that you can't stop or that you can't continually try to run away from something when the problem that you're creating is up in here, not out in the real world. Because the real world is going to be the real world. People aren't going to like you. You're not going to be able to tolerate certain people. You're going to have to do the things that you don't want to necessarily do. You're going to have to say the things that you have to just to be polite. There are so many things that you're going to have to do. But one of the things that you do not have to do is accept your situation, which makes your life 10 million 1 trillion, billion, quadrillion times harder. Because why? Because you're putting that mental energy against the present. You're fighting it. You're fighting the presence. You're fighting the new norm. And we as humans want to fight that new normal all the time. All the time, because we can't stand change. As in people, I say me. I can't stand change. I can't stand different things because I'm such a habitual person. And so after 5 weeks, really, 5 weeks, this is my 6th week. Whenever I end up posting this is my 6th week. I'm finally coming around to accept it. Because I know I've already said this in one of my videos, but for the longest time I've been trying to run away, outwork, keep my mind busy doing other things. Like in the beginning of this, I wanted to make money. I wanted to start a consulting business, start a way to make different streams of money. And my brain was trying to force myself to do something else that would tell me I'm not doing this research, that would validate that I'm not really here, that would validate that I'm working towards a future. But the more and more I worked towards something that it wasn't, the universe told me no. There was people set in my life, that are in my life, that said no. And it really stung. But the more and more I thought about it, the more and more it was just a no. And it taught me that I'm willing to do things that are scary. I'm willing to do things that aren't normal. To be able to do things that aren't normal. To get results that aren't normal at people my age. And that I use people's no's as fire for my yes. And at the same time, it broke me down enough to realize that I need to find my inner peace. That I can't keep running and trying to avoid every single thing and trying to make my life busy. Because at week 4, I on paper had everything that my January, February, March, April, and May self would say I would have everything. That I was doing computational research. I wasn't in a wet lab. I was waking up early to go to the gym. I was coming back from work, going to the pool after eating dinner, then calling my friends, and then going to bed. I had every single thing that I would ever want. But that little bit of that sparkle wore off. Because it made me remember where I was. It made me remember that I can't run from the things that are within. Like, no matter the places that I go, the people that I meet, the experiences that I have, it can't take my problems and the things that are hurting inside away. Because I was still busy. I was still loud. I was still trying to run from things that I had not healed. To be truthful. For so long, I've been just trying to work towards something that I didn't even know what was working, and trying to outdo myself and outwork myself and outdo so many things that I've done in the past. But where has that led me? Burnout, exhaustion, anxiety, depression. So many things that I've been trying to run from that I thought would be fixed because I get to go somewhere new. It still followed me here. That I was still trying to be busy. That busyness didn't use my energy, use my knowledge, use my experience for the best, but rather it kept me distracted from healing my inner self. Like, it wasn't last week, but because that was week 5, this is week 6, but the 4th week was probably the hardest week, to be truthful. I was very sad. I didn't know why I was so sad. Like, I just wasn't having it. And something was up. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. And it took that 4th weekend, well, technically the 5th, because I was here the weekend before I started. But so, the 5th weekend, I guess, if you want to call it that. It took me, I don't know when I ended up posting that, but it was the time that I went to the beach and I showed you guys that little beach that I found that inner peace. When everything went quiet. I couldn't tell you why. It was like, I was just like, I don't know how any other words to describe it, but it was just like, I was just screaming and screaming and screaming. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong because I was doing everything right. I was working out, I was eating fine, I was doing great progress in my research, and I was busy and I was doing. But I wasn't being. I wasn't being myself. I shouldn't say that, because I was being my workaholic self. I wasn't being Emma. I was being the workaholic Emma, to say truthfully, that I was trying to outwork myself, to stay busy, to distract myself from how lonely I felt, from just how empty it was, I guess is the only way that I could describe it, because I didn't feel like I had my people. I didn't feel like I had my friends, and I still don't feel like I'm like fully connected with everybody, but I still think that there was so much noise inside that wasn't healed. That was from like things of the past. But it's like now I have that bit of peace. It comes in new forms and it ebbs and flows, and sometimes I feel more peaceful than not. But the only way that I found that was through doing different things. I work different hours now. I give myself more grace. I don't try to push through working all day every day. I don't try to be super productive every single minute of every single hour. Like, sometimes I go on my phone. Like, sometimes I will take a 10-minute walk to a different location to go somewhere else. I don't try to cram everything in 8 hours and do it perfectly. I still do my 8 hours of work and lunch, but it's like I don't put that pressure on myself to be absolutely a machine, is the best way to put it. And it's like, it's taken me that long. It's taken me, I don't even know, the past 8 years to not be a machine. I mean, I don't know how any other word to describe it, but since like almost 10 years of trying not to just be, but to just try not to do, but to be, that it's like you have to slowly let off the brake, or the gas, not the brake, to slowly transition to the brake, but then the gas, but then the brake. And it's just taken a while to figure that out. It's taken a while to realize that I can't keep running from things, that it's okay to cry, to be sad, to feel anxious, to be depressed for a bit, that it's nothing to be ashamed about, because we're all human beings, that at the end of the day, you can't continue to do. You have to set boundaries or you're going to get burnt out. You're going to have to set things away and off. So then you can have that space of a being rather than a doer. Like, so often I would continually try to do for hours on end. And don't get me wrong, I can do that for like a day solidly and grind for a day. But then if I try to do that the next day, I just can't. Like, I can't do that anymore. And it's just kind of reaffirmed within me that these boundaries that I've learned are serving me well. Like, for instance, like, so often I would try, so like, as y'all know, I do my lifting club. And I would try to do work after my lifting club, and I would sit there and bang my head for about an hour. And then it would be 10 o'clock. And I would just sit, and I'm like, Emma, just get this done. And I can't. And so I would spend an hour of wasting my time instead of getting ready for bed and going to bed at 10. And it's taken me so long not to do that anymore. Because I need to remind myself that I'm a being, I'm not a doer. You're a human being. You don't have to continually and constantly do things. Because for so long, I would do so many things for hours and hours on end. Because I could. Because I had the time. Like, literally in high school when I took AP Calc, I would sit probably on the weekend for like 6 hours straight. I would go from 12 to 6 p.m. on a Saturday, just studying calculus, studying. And then when I took AP Chem my junior year, I got home from my 2-hour-long swim practice after commuting an hour, and I would stay up till like 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, and then go to bed, wake up at 6, get ready for school at 7, by 7, eating breakfast at like 7:30, and then we'd go to school at 8, and then repeat. And I was not doing good. I was not doing good at all. I wasn't performing well at all in school. I wasn't performing well at swim. I mean, the list goes on and on. And those habits increased, then they've slowly decreased as I've become more proficient at school and efficient at school. And it's kind of brought that humanity, that life back into me. Because as often as you work, you lose bits of yourself. You lose those pieces that you've been wanting and needing for so long, those aspects of like emotions. Like, you lose that when you're working because you don't have time for those, that you become a literal machine. And then when you get to that point in your life that you can actually be a being again, you don't know how to deal with those emotions, those feelings, because for so long you put those on the back burner. For so long you put those away because you had different priorities. And so, healing from that, learning from that, moving forward from that is hard. But it's worth it. But it's worth the change. And for as long as you think that you can run away from that, you can't. Because it always catches you. Because it's always within. And it's just a reminder that all along, the problems we've all been running from, all the things that we've been trying to avoid, those things are always within us, no matter how hard we try. So we should really just welcome ourselves, our problems, our issues with open arms and accept them and stop trying to run away from them. Food for thought.